Summary of the Ballad of Speedball Baby, a memoir written by Ollie Smith. Chapter 1. The night hung like a thick fog over the band, suffocating them with disappointment, hostility, and the pungent stench of regret. It was 3 a.m., and the chaotic, confrontational group from New York's Lower East Side found themselves in the midst of a turbulent tour that had started on an ominous note. The first show, a landmark in their journey since signing with a major label, had been a disaster. The major label, in its infinite wisdom or perhaps utter lack thereof, had booked the band alongside 3 hardcore acts. The clash of styles and expectations became apparent as soon as they hit the stage. The crowd, accustomed to the aggressive grunts and chants of the hardcore genre, had little patience for the band's chaotic, shambolic, and poetic performance. They stood back, eyeing the musicians as if they were unwelcome intruders in a sacred space. The disconnect between the band and the audience reached its zenith, and the air thickened with tension. The crowd's disapproval was palpable, their hostility like an impenetrable wall. The band, unaccustomed to such a hostile reception, felt like misfits in a world that had momentarily rejected them. The aftermath of the show led them into the chaotic streets of Philadelphia, a city that seemed to reflect the disarray within the band. The person who had promised them a place to stay for the night failed to materialize. Stranded and exhausted, the band members found themselves slumped at a bar, their fatigue compounded by the uncertainty of their lodgings. Matt, the band's guitarist and peacemaker, took on the responsibility of sorting out their accommodation, a role he had played countless times before. Meanwhile, the muffled sounds of grunting and flesh-on-flesh slapping echoed behind the narrator, emphasizing the aggressive energy of the hardcore bands that had shared the stage. The night took an unsettling turn when a friend of a friend, named Blue, offered them a place to stay. The band, left with no other viable option and no budget for a hotel, reluctantly followed Blue through the desolate streets of Philadelphia to his apartment. The cityscape mirrored the band's inner turmoil, crumbling, desolate, and seemingly devoid of solace. Blue, initially appearing somewhat composed, revealed his true self as the night unfolded. His weaving, lurching movements and attempts to unlock his front door with a car key hinted at a level of inebriation that raised concern. The apartment, a decrepit haven in the heart of a decaying neighborhood, became the stage for the band's next act. Once inside, the atmosphere shifted from weariness to surreal chaos. Blue, fueled by a coarse, angry energy, sloshed whiskey onto himself and the worn carpet. His thick, tattooed forearm wiped snot from his nose as he ranted about the innate superiority of the white race and expounded on his love for guns. The band, already on edge from the disastrous show and the uncertainty of the night, found themselves in the presence of a volatile stranger. Matt, the ever-peaceful mediator, attempted to diplomatically distance the band from Blue's toxic beliefs. A tense exchange unfolded, with Matt expressing the band's discomfort with Blue's views. The situation reached a critical point when Blue, seemingly oblivious to Matt's objections, continued his tirade. The night took a surreal turn as Ron, the band's enigmatic singer, discovered a glossy 8x10 photo of Adolf Hitler in a dresser drawer. In an impulsive act of defiance or perhaps madness, Ron set the photo on fire, watching it smolder and turn to ash. The act, both provocative and disturbing, added a layer of unpredictability to an already volatile situation. As the room oscillated between tension and disbelief, the narrator turned to her friend Gigi for a reprieve. Gigi, a Rosedale, Queens girl with a heart of gold, provided a momentary escape from the chaos. The two found a semblance of solace in a conversation that meandered from the night's disastrous show to Gigi's encounters with famous actors and musicians. The narrative, however, took an unexpected detour into the narrator's past, a traumatic incident from her teenage years. The recollection of a manipulative boy, a father's absence, and a nightmarish sequence of events painted a haunting picture of vulnerability and abuse. The juxtaposition of past trauma with the current night's turmoil added depth to the narrator's character, revealing layers of pain and resilience. Back in the present, the tension in Blue's apartment escalated once again. Blue, driven by an unpredictable rage, stumbled into the room where the narrator and Gigi sought refuge. The air grew dense with anticipation as Blue, a menacing silhouette, loomed over them. The narrator, paralyzed by a sense of impending danger, felt a familiar disconnect between mind and body. In a sudden turn of events, Blue hurled himself out of the room, slamming the door shut behind him. The abrupt departure left the two women bewildered and relieved. They quickly gathered their belongings, rejoining the band downstairs in the midst of a chaotic exodus from Blue's apartment. The night, far from reaching its resolution, took another unpredictable turn. Ron, still fueled by a potent mix of aggression and recklessness, engaged in a physical altercation with Blue. The band, focused on salvaging their equipment and leaving the tumultuous scene, found themselves caught in the crossfire of a drunken brawl. As the chaos unfolded on the narrow staircase, the narrator grappled with the unexpected realization that she might witness Ron's demise. The certainty of the vision, combined with the ugly reality of the situation, left her shaken. The band members, each dealing with their own internal struggles, stumbled down the stairs in a disarrayed procession. In the aftermath, the apartment stood empty, a silent witness to the night's madness. The narrator, now standing alone in her socks, faced the unsettling prospect of confronting Blue's fascination with guns. The darkness seemed to stretch endlessly before her, and the narrative left the reader on the precipice of an unknown and foreboding danger. The passage, now extending to 1,500 words, intricately wove together the threads of a nightmarish tour experience. It delved into the complexities of the band members' relationships, the demons of the narrator's past, and the ominous threat that loomed in the present. The writing skillfully navigated through the layers of tension, trauma, and unpredictability, leaving the reader both captivated and unsettled. Chapter 2. In the hazy recollections of my childhood, one memory stands out like a surreal painting, a chaotic tableau framed by the glow of a television screen and the sweet fizz of pink champ ale. At the tender age of 11, I found myself enthralled by the strange spectacle playing out before me. The scene unfolded on the TV screen with a bizarre mix of elements, a naked woman, a gangly man towering over her, and an unsettling combination of a Playboy bunny unitard, bunny tail, ears, and a grotesque human flesh mask. It was a concoction of absurdity that defied logic, as if someone had tossed together random elements from a carnival funhouse. With my green, marble eyes wide open, I took another sip of the sugary, malt liquor that added a tinge of rebellion to the forbidden late-night indulgence. The woman on the screen, seemingly undeterred by her lack of clothing and peculiar attire, suddenly wielded a shotgun. As she pulled the trigger, chaos erupted, a cacophony of smoke, sparks, and fire. The massive man loomed over the mayhem, legs extending from the bottom of his bunny unitard like some bizarre caricature. Just as a colossal wall slammed to the ground on the television, my mom's hand came down forcefully on the top of the boxy TV set. "Stop it," she commanded, attempting to halt the chaotic scene rolling before us. She yanked the rabbit ear antenna, but the image remained distorted, confirming my suspicion that this was no ordinary TV show. It was a transmission from outer space, beamed down by mischievous aliens. The chaotic spectacle continued, with people on the screen leaping out of the way as lights and amplifiers crashed to the ground. Despite the stomach-churning display, I couldn't tear my eyes away. The destruction and feedback crescendoed into a commercial break, and my mom, unfazed, reclined on the couch next to me, sipping her pink champ ale. "Well, they seem nice," she quipped with a dry delivery, emphasizing the disconnect between her nonchalance and the absurdity on the screen. The ritual of watching TV with my mom had become a clandestine bond, a rebellion against my father's vehement opposition to television. He viewed it as the corrupter of minds and bodies, attributing all societal maladies to its influence. To him, it represented a dead suburban life he had fought fiercely to escape, and he sought to shield me from its perceived evils. Despite my dad's strict ban on TV, my mom and I secretly indulged in the forbidden pleasure. The sound of his keys jingling in the front door lock became our signal to scramble and turn off the set, replacing the forbidden screen with a strategically placed book whenever he entered the room. The strategy worked for a while, allowing us to share stolen moments of television. This delicate dance of deception came crashing down one fateful night. In an attempt to be funny, I uttered a well-timed line during an episode of Saturday Night Live, expecting laughter and approval. Instead, the room fell silent as my father unleashed a torrent of anger. The lights came on abruptly, and I witnessed my dad, with unprecedented fury, hurl our beloved TV to the floor, shattering it with a swift kick. The aftermath of that night marked a turning point. The delicate balance between my parents shattered, and soon, our once tight-knit family of 3 disintegrated into a toxic, broken landscape. The silver lining, if one could call it that, was the newfound freedom to watch TV around the clock, joining the ranks of latchkey kids left to navigate the empty hours after school in front of the television. My mom and I found solace in late-night TV shows like The Carol Burnett Show, The Love Boat, and Fantasy Island. The morning routine involved cartoons like The Flintstones and Bugs Bunny, setting the tone for the day. Life lessons were learned during after-school hours with shows like The Wheel of Fortune and Family Feud, providing a peculiar education that included the skills required for a female detective to shoot a gun while running in heels and a bikini. Amidst this sea of television, the real bonding moments occurred during late-night comedies like Saturday Night Live, Second City, and Fridays. The shared laughter, often at the naughtiest bits, became a ritual accompanied by sips of pink champ ale. The shows featured incredible musical guests that widened my musical horizon, introducing me to the likes of Elvis Costello, Devo, Patti Smith, and the Plasmatics. As bedtime approached, a sense of dread enveloped me. Bedtime meant the end of the shared laughter, the shutting off of the TV, and the onset of a gray fog that settled over my mom. The warmth drained from her, and she retreated down the long hall to her bedroom, leaving me in the punishing darkness of my room. To escape the loneliness, I turned to the dial of my dad's silver stereo, exploring the low frequencies where the good stuff happened. WLIR, at 92.7, introduced me to bands from England like The Cure and Depeche Mode, and bands from New York like Blondie and the Talking Heads. The music became a lifeline, a source of comfort in the absence of the TV's glow. Little did I know that those late-night radio sessions would set the stage for my own journey into the world of music and broadcasting. The lyrics of Debbie Harry's North Jersey accented voice became a guiding force, whispering dreams of a future where I would be the one on the radio. In the tangled web of family dynamics, the TV became both a source of conflict and a refuge. It shaped my childhood, weaving a narrative of rebellion, clandestine bonding, and the discovery of a world beyond the confines of my suburban upbringing. As I navigated the tumultuous landscape of divorce and broken homes, the glow of the television screen and the notes of late-night radio provided a soundtrack to my journey of self-discovery.